Welcome to the November Omaha Linux Users Group. I am your host for this evening, John Larson. I'm a systems engineer at AIM. A couple things happened today. 4.3 kernel is out. Dora 23 is out this morning. Firefox 42 is out. What's the answer? Yep. The big changes. I know you're a major. I haven't actually. I know I've tried to do an upgrade, and I'll try to do it while Eric's presenting, but I had a couple issues trying to do the upgrade. A lot of it is probably the graphics and the new GNOME that just came out in September, which I think is 3.8. I don't think it's 3.1. But waiting to see all these support requests where people are saying, I can't install, or I can't upgrade. In the forums, I'm sure it'll happen. I think we're up to 5. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Big jump that way. So Eric, you have a few things today. Well, two.
Two things.
Two things.
Some accessories.
Right? So Aric Aasgaard is going to talk about compute sticks, and what's the other one?
It's a MeeGoPad. They're basically like stick computers.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Well, I needed to find something that was like a computer that would work well with televisions, because basically, for me, every screen should have a computer hooked to it because it's just easier that way. And also, I've had a couple of clients want to use them for kiosks to display like signs. So the best solution I've found is basically these stick computers. That one is the Intel Compute Stick. There's two versions of that one. One is basically the main difference is a 2 gig and a 1 gig of memory. One comes with Windows, one comes with Ubuntu, but they
don't give as much memory for the Linux version as it would.
Right. So you should get
Windows won't work.
Right. But the one thing that's nice, that one of the two, and I also brought a MeeGoPad, which I thought was going to be a lot better, just because it has the same processor, the same basic components, and it has an additional USB port and a sound port on it. So I was like, hey, that's great. Then I don't have to put a hub on it or something. The problem with and this is the MeeGoPad T02, the second version of it. It's similar specs. The big difference that I noticed between the two is the MeeGoPad does not have a fan on it. And because of that, it does not use the turbo features of the processor. So it's stuck at 1.3 gigahertz, whereas that one gets to, I think, 1.8. But it makes a huge difference when you're watching video. The MeeGoPad doesn't quite, it stutters sometimes, which seems odd to me. But
considering a Raspberry Pi can do HD.
Right. I've known, okay, in that respect, I think a lot of it has to do with the sound. I think the sound really makes it, seems to me, what causes it to be a lot choppier. The video tends to, like, change its rendering based on the amount of power and bandwidth it has, but the sound is, if the sound isn't, doesn't have that, it'll chop out.
We used to have a feature on MPlayer that called frame skip, where we try to skip as many visual frames as we play, just to give you some amount of playability. This was in lieu of trying to downgrade the quality.
Right, but keep it synced with the sound, right? The sacrifice, like all the frames in an effort to keep it in sync.
Yep.
Right. But I think these are a good solution because they're not very expensive. I personally, like now, they have, these are Bay Trail based systems. The Cherry Trail are out now, and they're supposedly about twice as powerful. There's one that has, there's a MeeGoPad T06 out that has a fan like the Intel. It has a battery, like a 300 milliamp battery on it. Supposedly it'll last about 15 minutes, but it's good for like a battery backup. Yes.
Well, if you're using it like a car application, you can handle the shutdown.
Right, yeah, it'll last for a few minutes and then probably charge itself back up. But it seems that would be a good choice. That Intel one is right now, unless you're doing 4K, is good enough. I mean, it does a really good job of 1080p video. It handles Windows 10 well. It handles Ubuntu well. It's significantly better than the MeeGoPad. The one thing I also noticed on the MeeGoPad is, and I don't know why, but the memory, like what is kind of like the solid-state hard drive of the system, is much slow. Seems much slower on the MeeGoPad, and that causes a lot of issues. I mean, it'll when I'm doing a transfer, it'll transfer. It'll like kind of like thrashing almost. It'll go and stop and go and stop and go and stop. I haven't had time to research it and figure out what's causing it, but it could be that I just have a MeeGoPad that's not as good. Like one isn't a good sample to judge it by. From my experience so far with just one to try, it's not as good as the Intel, even though it has the extra parts. As far as loading operating systems on them, the Intel one has another benefit. It has both a 32-bit and a 64-bit bootloader on it, whereas the MeeGoPad only has a 32-bit, which probably wouldn't matter except for some reason the Linux drivers are better on 64-bit. It seems like they just work, whereas I have to do special stuff to make it work on the 32, which seems backwards. I don't know. Just seem that way. But as far as loading an OS on them, there's several. There's a guy that's like really into this that has a basically a Google Plus page in his own blog where he went down and broke it out into like, okay, so this is all the stuff you need, and they put it all on us. Made it really easy for me to do. I could show you that since I can go into it.
Do you have any issues with the Intel computers today? I thought there was somebody talking about Bluetooth versus network.
Supposedly they got that fixed, but I read about that before I got it, so I assumed I would have that problem, and I got one of these. Also, my sound system in my living room is optical, so I got a USB sound card for it, and I think that's, I mean, you can get a USB sound device, and that works great. I got one of these USB hubs for about $10. I got there's tons of them out there. This one is particularly good because it has two SD card slots on the hub itself, and they both work. It seemed like most of the ones I looked at, only one, like there would be two, like a big one and a small one, and only one of the two would work at a time.
It's probably just the same controller.
Right. This one's cool because I've got like one's a big slot, so I've got an adapter one, so I could put two in there and like copy them back and forth and stuff like that. Or I could put the USB one too, that would work too. But I think this works pretty well. It's got enough ports for me, even if there's only one. So I use like a combination keyboard mouse thing. These are really good for basically a couch controller. There's several of them out there. I got this particular one, the Logitech one. I got the older version of it because on the newer version, there's the number, these arrow keys are smaller on the new version, And if you're using like Plex, it basically uses the arrow keys a lot. So I wanted to have
like that. I didn't like it about that.
you like the smaller ones?
No, I like that mouse like this.
I like it like this because there's a mouse button over here. So I can go like this. And I think that works well.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Did this boot up? I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, it was starting to grow around.
Power on the keyboard. Power socket.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just parse that. Oh, I also noticed one thing that's cool about these is they will run off of one of these backup, like these Anchor batteries. So if for some reason you needed some sort of Wi-Fi device or something that was just enclosed in like a bag or something, you could do that, which is kind of cool.
It doesn't run off the power off the HDMI.
No, it uses the powered USB port. And this will keep it, I would think this would keep it running for, this is like a 20 amp hour battery, it's like a laptop battery size. And I let it run for several hours this morning and it didn't even barely reduce this back. So we could probably let it run for a while.
So if you bought like a powered hub, power the device, and use it as your expansion sync.
Yeah, you could plug this into it. I did it actually earlier today. You could power the whole thing up with this, and it has two ports on two power ports. But this one isn't a powered one, so you
Right.
But, what that would be good for is like, let's say you need to make Wi-Fi longer, like you got an event or something, and you need to extend Wi-Fi or something like that. It would work.
There's not a possibility of plugging the USB in and then accessing the storage within it from another system. Making it act like a flash drive. So you can
I have not tried that.
I just never heard anybody talk about it. I'm just kind of curious.
What do you mean? I guess.
Well, I know it's powered by that small USB port. Right? So could you plug that port into a computer? It would power it. You could also access the storage on it.
No, it's power only. The USB port is just a power plug. I don't even know if it's pinned out. It's just power. It just makes it a convenient power plug that everybody has. And you have to use the bigger power plugs.
1.5, probably.
2 amp.
2 amp.
Yeah, 2 amp. I use ones that came with this are 2 amp. It works pretty well.
So keep the one that usually comes with it.
Yes. If not, like the Galaxy phones, they're 2 amp chargers too. They don't work. They're not quite as good for some reason, but they
Well,
work.
it depends upon the stability of the circuit.
Yeah, I don't know. Keep the one it comes with. Oh, I've got one of those Asus transformer tablet. Those power supplies work too. That works pretty well. It uses the same power supply as the battery, ready to charge. I'm trying to think what else.
Use monitor.
No, this one isn't. Oh, they did this already.
The input or no?
There it is. So,
You showed them the projector.
Not. I don't have a
yeah.
gender changer.
You know, one thing, these things I've thought about using for is projectors, because a lot of projectors just have HDMI ports, and you could
And USB.
plug this into the, you get power from it too. Maybe like that one. Let's try it and see if it works.
Close.
Of course this isn't going to work, right?
It doesn't like your. Did you try it on the monitor before you?
No, I use this monitor. Believe it or not, I don't have any HDMI monitors at home. I have all DisplayPort ones, and my TV is like where my woman hangs out, so I can't just be like, go away, I'm playing with my computers in your area. So I took this home and did this, and it's not working. But
Try with the compare whether it was one or the other. It might just be the ego issue. Because it was displaying
it
temporarily.
was working like 6 hours.
It's probably good. It's just not.
No, it worked. It worked fine.
Does that short cable come with it, or is that come with it?
Got another one.
Probably the USB-C version.
They had, at least the new ones have the MeeGoPad T06 has a USB 3 on it, which is good. In theory, then you could put your boot devices on something else that's sitting next to it. Supposedly, you can run. I was planning on doing this, but I ran out of time. There's a way you can put the Chromium OS on these. I know Google's planning on coming out with a product like this that has their OS on it for TVs, sometime in the next 2 weeks.
That's what I read yesterday.
That would be cool. That should be nice. It should make this easier for everybody to do, basically. As long as it would be nice to just be able to throw that on one of these, just because you could always change your mind later on.
Every time I've searched for like Chromium OS build, it's always the same one that's like 3 or 4 years old.
That's
I don't know if there's anybody.
There just
There's
isn't.
a couple people that are making it for x86.
Okay.
So you just load them on any old
Right. That would be cool.
So it sounds like Chromium is almost abandoned where.
Right.
A lot of people use Chromium OS. Chrome OS. I mean, as far as being updated. Yeah, it's still getting it's still out. Actually, there's a new version of OS 2. And they're just
that one time.
they're became ecom station. But at WarpFest 2015, they're pushing for people to open source their drivers. I think it was WarpFest. I might have the name wrong.
It's like a release.
But they're working with IBM. You know, that was used in a lot of ATMs before XP embedded.
See it in ATMs. The loading screen is a cool part compared to that's the coolest.
So this is one I actually use on my TV because it's just easy. It's got I did upgrade to Windows 10. There is also another cool feature about this that Windows put out was there is an app for your Android that works as a KVM for the device.
So it's okay.
So
Just like over Wi-Fi.
yeah, it's over Wi-Fi, and it's really cool because it uses like your trackpad as your screen, and it's got an on-screen keyboard, so you can, as far as a computer on your TV, it's nice to be able to just use your phone because you have your phone, and the mouse part works really good. The only thing I don't like about it is, and maybe there's just a way I just need to do it better, but it doesn't. You can't log onto your computer with it. It loads after your user profile loads.
No.
So I probably could figure out a way to make it load first, but I haven't done that. By default, you have to like somehow put your password in before then it starts up that service. And it's a service, so it shouldn't matter. This one plays like movies really, really well, like amazingly well. You could almost use. I'm betting the Cherry Trail version of this that's coming out. It's already out. You can get a TO6 now. Would probably work for most like your regular office workers' computer. It's reasonable. The only thing is it doesn't have dual monitors. But other than that, it works pretty quick. It's not super slow for like regular business applications. So I think Intel is kind of worried about that maybe because
It might be eating away. It's
right, because why would they sell you a $100 item when they can sell you a $500 item? I don't know, but it does. It's nice. Suppose I don't know the Intel Compute Stick, the second one. I believe that's supposed to be a Cedar something. The new M core processor in it, so it'll be more like a M5, M3. So it'll be more like like you know one of those like ultra low power, like ultrabook kind of things, like not, but it'll be like those. So that could be interesting. I'm guessing it would cost twice as much money, but it would still, I think it would be better to have. So this thing works pretty good for movies. And if you want me to test it, just to show
Shall
you.
I use it for at home? It's just movies.
Pretty much. I just use it. This is basically like instead of a Roku.
That was kind of my next question is, you just use it for movies. Why not use it for Roku for friends?
Because, well, this was like $100.
Okay.
About the same price.
Which is good.
Well, the good Rokus were 100 when I was looking at them.
Now they have to stick with it.
But is it good though?
Yeah.
I could try it. I mean, the last time I tried it, it was okay.
Yeah, I think it works as well as my room.
Yeah, with Flex, I don't see a difference.
You can't see a difference?
Serves as a transcoding area, right?
Well, okay, so another thing is I use like Spotify, and at the time, like I couldn't use Spotify on a Roku.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of other reasons. I mean, you
There,
play games, whatever else.
well, I don't play games. Like Spotify was a big reason why I didn't go with the Roku because you couldn't use it. I don't like being, like for example, my TV has apps on it. So I can watch like Netflix and stuff on my TV, but I can't do like Spotify. I can't do Plex. I don't want to be locked into a proprietary format. I would much rather be able to figure out how to make it work. Because if I have a computer, I can pretty much make it work. There isn't really. You'll be able to play whatever you want. Yeah. Also, the sound. This has, so I can plug in so I've got a optical stereo system. It's a little bit older, so it's just a 5.1 optical stereo. This, if I plug in an optical, this works really well.
that is a Sound Blaster.
It's a Sound Blaster HD 5.1. G, whatever.
USB sound card.
SP109X. Yeah, it's like a USB sound card with a bunch of ports and some proprietary software that makes it run really nice. But it works really well. It'll also do the on the fly encoding to 5.1, which makes it
So optical is off the process.
maybe. I think it's software though. I think it's software that's doing it. But it does it well enough where I don't have to like worry about whatever because I've got like an older receiver, so it doesn't. Some of the formats it handles isn't quite right as far as the encoding streams. So this thing will encode it in the stream right. I don't know. Another problem is you can't go from you can't use the audio from your HDMI source into a TV and then out of your TV because it kills the surround sound stream. I think they do that for like copyright protection. So it was driving me nuts because there was like a way, like my TV had like the options to do PCM out, and so no matter what I could do, I was only getting a stereo channel out of my TV. So basically, you have to basically on mine send out another optical signal off the device into my stereo. And I read there's maybe 1 or 2 TVs that let you do that. They're like weird, like brands I've never heard of. So it's very unlikely you'll be able to find a TV that has output. So
There's a lot of fine, odd names TVs. TCL, Hisense.
Are they good?
Yeah, the ones I looked at last night all had broken.
See, that's kind of cool. That makes it slightly less proprietary than.
For my mom, it would be great because all she has is a 2 TV. Oh, she got the email that said, "You're not getting any more Roku updates." She has the little square box.
Yeah, the new Rokus don't have the optical out.
The Roku 4.
I don't think any of the new top end Rokus don't have it.
This is
No,
I'll rant later.
no RAM.
Okay.
That's what we're here for.
I have a 4-year-old Samsung Blu-ray get upgraded software for approximately 18 months, and then there's quiet. It still works, but it never gets updated.
You all still on SD discs.
Yes. So now I've got a Roku that's probably coming up to at the holiday. We'll get the second year. Now you're only getting
Oh,
that's that.
No. You have a
Says
small
the soundboard on it.
size with rounded edges.
Yes.
My mom's is bigger than that.
Oh,
It is first like this big,
the one
and it's
before
square
the-
that's full of holes.
Okay.
I got my mom that, and somebody broke into her house and stole it.
So,
Nice.
yeah, that was the XS. Before they came up with the Roku 2, Roku 3.
Features are nice changes. I feel a little better. Radio based.
The app.
One of the things I heard last year ago was don't get a smart TV, get smart information. But it looks like every
Yeah, get a dumb TV and a computer. That's
What sucks is you turn your TV on and it says, there's a software update. And
Come
you
back
have the next
Tuesday.
hour of, yeah.
I don't know the fastest processor.
Yeah.
yeah.
As I'm noticing, you're just using just a monitor and the Intel as a basically computer.
Yeah.
So would you theoretically like streaming like YouTube videos?
It's a computer. Yeah.
That way you're gonna be boxed. Have just a little.
Yes. There's also the TO8 version of that has a projector built into it, like a little Pico projector, which would be kind of cool. I don't know. It's kind of a novelty, but I like the idea of having it like you could just like
After you can load software onto it.
Yeah, it's a computer.
So how much is that?
They're 32, and I believe the TO6 can have 64. But you can also use, it's got a SD card slot in it. So you can put an SD card slot,
Format it, make it drive to you.
format it, and set up your grub and point it to that drive.
The USB ports and the USB 2.
These ones are 2. The cherry, some of the cherry trails are 2, some of the cherry trails are 3. The MeeGoPad, okay, so they came out with 3 new MeeGoPads. Like there's 4 is like a round thing, and then there's a 5, a 6, and a 7. The 7 is not as good as the 6 and 5. And the 5, the difference between the 5 and 6 is the 6 has a fan and USB 3. Yeah, I think it has 2 more gigs of RAM. It has 4 gigs of RAM.
So you can put an external USB drive on it.
Right, but it's got, for USB 3. So this port's a USB 3 port. In theory, if you have one USB port, you could put a whole bunch of drives in if you want to do. Yeah, I mean, a network card. You could.
Yeah, you can use a USB Ethernet.
What?
They get wireless.
It has, it's a Wi-Fi built in. It has Bluetooth built in. Supposedly on this, I think they fixed it, but originally it had a problem with if you use a Bluetooth keyboard and you had it on the Wi-Fi and you're watching a movie, you would drop. The Wi-Fi would drop. It would lose speed because same controller or something like that. Or,
But all the Intel, even the new ones, only have a single USB.
yeah, that's why you get one of these. Because it makes it very difficult to load an OS if you don't have.
Buy the pluggable that has 3 USB 3s and a RJ45 gigabit network supporting.
What's that one? That would be the best.
I've got one upstairs on my desk. It's great.
An RG45. Is it like a Bay Trail or is it a?
No, it's just a USB.
Oh yeah. Okay, got you. That would be exactly because USB 3 you could have a gigabit. Which I don't know how. Is there offloading on it at all?
I'm not sure. It's probably not. I have their standard. It's the regular. Yeah. That's the job there.
Well, I thought you could out those. Okay, so I will post on the list. I'll post a list of basically the sites I can use to get the information because it'd be kind of boring for me to go through it and say, hey, go to this website and check out this stuff, especially when I have this small screen.
Did you buy everything through a U.S. reseller?
I did not. I got the
Or did you get AliExpress?
I bought the MeeGoPad through AliExpress. At the time, there was a retailer through Amazon was selling it, but for more money, and it was also from China. So the place I got through the AliExpress person, they shipped it to me for $10, and it was like fast. It was like within less than a week, and it surprised me. And it was, I think altogether it was $90, whereas which cheaper now, but at the time that was pretty good. And the person I bought it from was he sent me all the drivers. He sent me I emailed him and say I need drivers for this or whatever. And he sent me the site and stuff. It would be okay. He's got YouTubes up there showing how to do it and stuff too. So I was impressed. Oh, the other thing is when I tried to buy it, my card, it denied my purchase right away. My card's nope, Shut my card off. I couldn't use my card anymore. So I called them, and then they turned my card back on, and I approved it, and it worked.
Yeah, I'd be a little worried too.
Yeah, but I don't. It's if it works, it works. I mean,
I have a friend of mine who's a card.
well, I have a specific card for that. I wasn't gonna. I use my bank card or something. I use like a.
No, I mean, he was at a gas pump. He was seated at a gas pump. And it had a chip in it.
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
Yeah, but how's just a magnetic part though?
Yeah.
Right? Well, they charge like $500 in IV and all of them.
We heard all the cases. Yeah, parts givers all in Iowa. That's
So local people are doing that. Anyway.
So if you use that case,
I have one of the best. They have this seal on them.
Also, if you're using Windows, these sound cards come with a remote, which is
That's handy.
it's okay for this purpose. I don't really use it,
eat that part.
Oh,
but it's something.
like it?
I like the Intel one. I don't like the MeeGoPad.
There's less frustration on the Intel side.
Yes, the Intel one works great. I love that there's two. There's both a 64 and a 32-bit bootloader. The Linux stuff works better on it.
Is it hard for you to get Linux to work on it?
Not that one. On that one, it was okay. So somebody
Intel.
made.
I've thought about buying the Linux one, but the lower memory stuff.
Okay, so here, let me show you.
They're usually locked boot.
It's meant for it. There's like a selection in there because you pick between the. It's got a 32-bit and a 64-bit bootloader. Okay, the 64-bit bootloader basically just says Ubuntu bootloader, and so it's meant to be the bootloader for the Ubuntu image, and the images are on it. There's a partition that has the images on it. So.
Do you use any Linux distro on it?
I doubt it. I mean, you probably could if you were. I mean, it's easy. Like, just do it easily. You want to use the one it's like meant for. You could probably do it. I don't see any reason why not. It's Linux.
I probably that's what
You know, I tried it and I had that problem. I don't know why I didn't. Like, yeah, I was having problems for some reason. I think it. And there's also a lot of different firmwares for it too. So you could have an image that works. You could update the firmware. The image might be not work. I still do this whole UFI stuff. I think it's awesome. It's just like I need to spend a lot more time with it before I should.
So, since you guys have talked so much of the Raspberry Pi,
I don't know.
You get floating point, and you get the ability to run all the x86 code. This Raspberry Pi, you're going to have to
You probably
Yeah.
don't. You have to have like a proprietary like a video driver or something, Raspberry Pi or something. How's that work?
Yeah. They work with Marvell or Broadcom to create open source drivers and a blog to talk to video units of the Raspberry.
These do run like garbage without the right video driver on it. So if your video is not working right, make sure your drivers are working right. And there's a lot of them for Linux, Windows, whatever. Make sure also you can't. For a TV thing, it makes it kind of weird too because a lot of stuff like you use the base build uses Firefox, which doesn't like to use Flash more than HTML5 stuff. At least
first time it pops up, it probably says, this plugin is vulnerable.
Well, you have to install the Flash stuff with it too if you want to do it. Instead of where if you got Chrome or something, we'll just use the HTML5. Yeah, I like them. They're great. I would like to try Raspberry Pi. I haven't done it yet. But these were most of my clients use. The people that originally started this for was just Windows kiosks. That was my thing. So I wanted to see if they would work good for my home. As well.
What's your boot time like?
Fast. The boot time on this is pretty fast because it almost comes.
Is your global cycle long?
I leave the thing on all the time. It doesn't take much power, and maybe you shouldn't, but I do. It does have a fan in it, but I don't think it's using. I don't think it's using a significant amount of power. In theory, you could plug it. They say not to do this, but you could use most TVs have a USB port on them. You could use the USB port on the TV. Mine it works that way on mine.
Yeah.
As soon as you turn your TV off, it fires off. It might not be too great for your file system, but it's not super important either.
How many years have you heard about
Sorry, what?
Android device? They got cheaper. They got cheaper, they got a newer one out. It's just like a Raspberry Pi, but it's 8 cores, 2 GB RAM. You can get it with
Like the-
or Android.
That'd be hard.
It's a single board on basically. And you have pretty good specs.
And pretty same size as the Raspberry Pi.
It's kind of like that like beef thing or whatever. You know, they were doing. You know, okay, so these are big. I think they're bent for cooling, maybe.
So it came like that.
It came vent. And I think that's maybe, okay, so there's vents on it. I think it's meant so that if you set it down, it's not covering vents. It looks like like it's damp and broken, but it would be, I would think, an engineering feature that fits.
Because they never just stack it across, right? And a whole stack of heads.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely vent. But
Cluster confusion with
That's D. Did you say that was Odroid or G-Droid? Odroid.
check that out.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
But not related to this. Have you done anything with OpenANS?
VPN sense? No. Should I?
I saw it on last week.
I'll check it out. I don't know.
Okay. It's like previously one supported.
it's like it's the ESN's
Oh. That's the open BSD version, so it
It uses the same interface as ESN's.
but it's open instead of their proprietary electric sheet company thing. That's awesome. I like that.
The interview.
I'll have to do that like soon too. I set up I set up a HA proxy or whatever for my Plex and whatnot, and it's like the coolest thing I've done in the last year because it makes everything easy. Because all my SSL is on my router. Like I can put everything behind my router to be just open or whatever, and
So the layer, protected layers.
and it can be like I can have everything be 4443. Like so I can have my on cloud, everything. I can just not put any ports on it, and since I'm using like whatever it parses my request, and it says okay, so it's using this request, it goes here. It's great. It's like so. If I go to
It's
my
not port based. It's like
yeah,
It's
so
like
you
the
can
rest
route
of
it based
the-
on like your URL. I don't know, that's not the right term, but like it goes in there and then it says, okay, go to this computer. Great. It's a like web application firewall router. But it makes things so much easier for like a home user. I also got I got the 300 megabit cable modem this weekend. Like,
Oh, you got the new one?
I got the 32 by 8 one, channel one. It just showed up on Amazon, and I got it, and they didn't know how to install it, and I had to go to like tier 2 support, and they got it, and it works great. The coolest feature about it, I mean, it's still 32 by 8, but it's still only doing 16 by 4 when I use it. But it has a reboot button on the web interface. That is huge to me because
You don't have to walk in.
well, no, like at my other businesses or whatever, they'll all be dropping packets. Like all of a sudden have like it'll just be a bunch of mess. So I'll either have to call Cox or whatever to have them reboot it, or I'll have to drive there and reboot it. And it happens at least twice a year. So, but this
It's always the most innovative.
but this I can just go into that, 192, 168, 101, and then go to the web interface, hit the reboot button, and it reboots my cable modem. That's huge. All right, I'm going outside.
Oh, I totally believe it. I was trying to watch TV program that we paid for in the morning. It's like crap.
Well, I'm good, you guys. No? Any more questions? No?
I have questions. I'm going to get into that.
It's question time. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, question number 1.
I got 9 computers running at home.
You have a what?
I have 9 computers running at home.
9? Okay.
So 9 is not the standard box.
You're like this?
So they're just, that's why I'm asking. Anyway, every 3 weeks, everything dies. Until I reboot the modem, and sometimes the modem doesn't work, so I have to use the router. And I tried using, I got a Linksys in router that I tried putting
Tomato or Word.
PD Works on it. PD Works actually get connected off, but back to the basic works.
When you did the firmware update, did you reboot the motor?
I got, then I got another router, wireless router. Put PD Works on it, and it works great for about a week. And then I have no wireless signal, but I have.
Okay. All the GD works I have here in the building, I have them reboot every morning at 5 a.m.
Okay, so rebooting is common.
You can schedule that content. Or there's actually a web interface.
Okay, so the DDWRC is common.
Not necessarily. I know lots of people that never.
It sometimes depends upon the hardware. I heard this theory a while ago that the reason why people's routers suck is because the manufacturers built it such that they're pushing forward power through the radio that they should be, that the radio degrades over time. So that's why routers suck, so to speak, over time. And some of these newer ones look pretty powerful. I would really like to try the new on-hub routers, but that's still a little expensive.
You can adjust.
Until they fix some issues that I've read about. So, what?
You usually adjust. There's usually a power adjustment on the radio.
Right. The DD word will give you that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want to pull the power down if it's blowing the radio out.
Is that usually what's happening? Is the radios just?
I think that the radios prematurely go out because they're pushing. The manufacturer by default is pushing.
You know
too
what
much
I've had? I've got like a lot of the basically ASUS ones I use just as not routers but as wireless access points. Almost always it's the power supply that goes down.
Yeah.
I've had probably
You get a slightly more powerful power supply on it, that usually will make it more stable.
That's all. And I think I've had, in the last couple of years, I probably had 5 of them go bad, and all but one of them were just the power supplies.
Yeah, pretty common. That's common for all those power.
Yeah.
So you're pretty sure it's the cable modem that's dropping? Have you looked at the interface?
Well,
to see?
I replaced the cable.
Oh, okay.
I still have it, so I'm thinking, gotta do something.
It could be Cox's head end. Maybe their head end's bad.
I've had it come out too. Yeah, I know. It's just, well, when we moved into the house 2 years ago, they literally ran a new wire all the way, and they changed the box out on the pole. They had to run the wire to those wires. So, all that crap.
That's still what you mean.
For my house, I do get occasional issues. And from my node, there's only me and my neighbor. And it's fiber to the post, and then it goes coax to the house. So the neighborhood is designed to be 2 houses per. So I still have weirdness that pops up out there.
But again, like I said, I
I would schedule the reboots. I won't notice it. Also, check your power, maybe. Check some forums to see if somebody's not maybe using a better power adapter.
Or you could use one of his systems as a router, and then you would know.
Bye.
See you, Adam. Bye, Adam.
That's what I forgot to bring last time.
Oh, what is it?
It's the fire cleaner.
Oh, the other cleaner?
Swipe.
Oh, actually, down it across the forehead.
Well,
Yeah.
it had the cartridge, so it's like open.
What's it called? A
We talk this.
top S.
Believe me, there's actually a cartridge.
Go ahead, next question.
There are no dumb questions.
Does anyone here usually send to us that?
Yes,
Or
I have a lot of stuff on this.
has anybody managed to get flexed? Or
No, I'm using it in a corporate environment.
Yes. The answer is yes.
That's probably to do with the
It's Flex Server.
because, well, when I was using
download the source RPM and do an RPM rebuild on it, and it'll probably take.
Or are you guys using that, like Emory or whatever, instead of Flex?
Huh?
You guys using, was it the other big Flex?
Cody?
thing? Not Cody, the MB?
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
I haven't used I just started playing.
I
might like it. I'm afraid.
I got lazy. I installed the Plex server on my Synology NAS.
Mine's on
Plugged it in a
free
folder.
NAS.
The TV saw it too. I'm like, hey, all right.
So, does anybody like the new Flex interface? Does anybody like
Which one?
the new one?
For the web interface?
No,
For the phone?
the client.
Client?
Which is the same phone,
PC.
Roku, whatever client.
I hate it because I use my app proxy. It only lets you put in IP addresses as your manual. You can't put in an address, which is because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So-
The interface for the Roku and all that system. Force it.
I did use it to my Roku the other day. It was a little annoying.
The interface.
Part of it is it misidentifies a lot of my stuff, right? Because I don't have a lot of what we would say U.S. content. Most of my stuff is from Japan, and it gets it all mixed up. Doesn't get things right at all.
He doesn't understand the character set.
Well, it's mostly in English, and it's embedded in English. It's part of the MKV headers.
Yeah.
But still doesn't show you the right box art or anything like that. That's why I'm just.
Oh, that's not easy.
Yeah. So I just have to say, go to the file browser and use the file browser. Don't use the picture browser.
But you can go ahead and set your own hardware. All teams.
Yeah, that's why I haven't done it. My method of finding things by the names, I know everything is, so it works. Well, I'm going to end the stream now so we can keep talking. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope I can try to get the mouse in this.